Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something pretty huge, but we're going to break it down so it's super clear and, honestly, a lot of fun. We are diving headfirst into the fascinating world of e-business to completely demystify how digital transformation has literally rewritten all the rules of modern commerce. So let's just jump right in.
Ever stop to think about how you can just roll over in bed at 2 a.m. and buy practically anything you want while the rest of the world is fast asleep? Our source text actually shares this brilliant, super relatable little story about two friends, Rita and Rekha. Rita wakes Rekha up well past midnight and is like, "Hey, let's do some shopping." Rekha rubs her eyes, totally bewildered, wondering who on earth would even have their shop open at that hour. But of course, Rita wasn't talking about going anywhere physically. She had already logged on to one of India's largest online shopping malls. That simple, everyday story perfectly captures the sheer magic of what we're talking about today. All right, so here is our game plan for today's explainer. We'll start with a welcome to e-business, then we'll clear up the difference between e-commerce and e-business, explore the four main scopes of e-business, put traditional commerce head-to-head with digital, and finally, wrap up with the undeniable benefits of making the digital leap.
Okay, kicking things off with Section 1. Welcome to e-business.
If you really step back, the entire evolution of modern business boils down to three massive trends. First, digitization. This is the big one, converting text, sound, images, and video into a rapid-fire series of ones and zeros that can just instantly beam across the globe. Second is outsourcing, and third is internationalization. Now, while all three are absolutely crucial, our focus today is laser-pointed on that first trend. We are looking at digitization and exactly how those ones and zeros birth electronic business as we know it.
Moving right along to Section 2, e-commerce versus e-business.
People actually mix these two up all the time in everyday conversation, but they aren't the same thing at all. E-commerce is really just one piece of a much larger puzzle. It just covers a firm's interactions with its customers and suppliers over the internet, essentially the buying and selling part. But e-business? That is a much broader, more elaborate umbrella. It includes e-commerce, sure, but it also wraps in all the internal electronic functions too. We're talking production, inventory management, accounting, human resources, the whole shebang. So, think of e-commerce as the digital storefront and e-business as the entire digitally connected enterprise working tirelessly behind the scenes.
Which brings us nicely to Section 3, the scope of e-business. We can really get a grip on how vast this is by looking at who is actually talking to who during a transaction. From this angle, a firm's electronic network basically branches out in four main directions: B2B, B2C, intra-B, and C2C. Let's break these down one by one.
First up is B2B, or business to business. Just like it sounds, both parties involved here are business firms. To create a final, finished product, a company naturally has to interact with a ton of other businesses. Imagine an automobile factory. They certainly don't magically manufacture every single screw, microchip, and seatbelts in-house, right? Instead, they assemble components made by dozens of different specialized vendors. Historically, this kicked off with electronic data interchange, or EDI technology, just to send basic purchase orders. But today, they use massive, complex computer networks to place orders and monitor production across multiple suppliers all at the exact same time.
And as you can see here, this is what that B2B flow looks like in action. You've got this central business network hub seamlessly connecting a firm with its suppliers. Because of this network, the business has total, real-time control over its stock in transit. They know exactly what's sitting on a shelf in the warehouse, what's currently bumping along on a delivery truck, and exactly when they need to reorder. It securely fast-tracks the movement of vital information, documents, and money between totally different corporate entities.
Let's shift to the second direction, B2C. Business to customer. This is the one we interact with the most. Businesses on one end and everyday consumers like you and me on the other. Now, online shopping obviously comes to mind first, but B2C actually starts way before you even click buy. It includes online marketing surveys to figure out what you might want in the first place, and it keeps going long after the sale with digital customer support. A really perfect real-world example of how B2C sped up our lives is the ATM. Remember when getting your own cash meant standing in a painfully slow line at the bank? ATMs totally digitized that B2C interaction, making it completely automated and lightning fast.
Another absolute game changer with B2C is mass customization. Let's face it, as customers today, we are super choosy. We want things tailored exactly to our preferences. And thanks to e-commerce, organizations can actually offer customized products at low costs that used to only be possible if they were making thousands of identical items. The classic example from our source material is Dell computers. You can literally go online, build your own PC, pick the exact graphics card, memory, and processor you want, and have that unique machine shipped right to your door. It's totally tailored to the individual, yet they pull it off at a massive global scale.
All right, direction number 3 is intra-B commerce. This refers to the internal electronic processes within one specific firm. Think of it like a highly advanced digital office intercom. Just as the old push-button intercom let people quickly talk across a physical building, today's intranets allow instant multimedia and graphic communication among all the different departments of a company. This is exactly what makes flexible manufacturing possible. The marketing department gets a custom order and bam, they instantly relay it straight to the production floor. It also makes virtual private networks, or VPNs, possible. Because of this, employees don't even have to commute into a physical office anymore. The office effectively comes to them.
The fourth and final direction is C2C, or customer-to-customer commerce. Here, the business originates from a consumer, and the ultimate destination is another consumer. This model is absolutely perfect for goods that just don't have a traditional established market mechanism. We're talking about selling used books, vintage clothes, or that antique furniture taking up space in your garage. The vast searchable space of the internet allows a person in one city to globally search for a buyer who wants exactly what they're looking to part with. Now, a totally fair question here is, how is this C2C ecosystem actually safe if you're dealing with total strangers? Well, technology steps in to provide the security. Take eBay, for example. They built robust rating systems so you can easily see if a seller has a couple thousand 5-star reviews before you hand over your money. Then you have payment intermediaries like PayPal. Instead of just blindly wiring cash to an unknown person, you send it to PayPal, and they hold it safely until the goods are actually shipped and accepted. C2C even extends to spaces like Yahoo groups or modern forums, where consumers form their own communities to share reviews and basically warn each other about bad vendors. It's peer-to-peer trust digitized.
Moving on to Section 4, let's do a direct comparison of traditional versus e-business. So if we look at the stark contrast between the old physical way of doing things and the new digital reality, it's pretty eye-opening. Look at the ease of formation column. Starting a traditional business involves a ton of difficult procedural requirements and red tape. E-business, incredibly simple to set up by comparison. What about physical presence? Traditional business absolutely demands a brick-and-mortar storefront or a huge physical factory. E-business just doesn't. Because of that, traditional setup costs are sky high. You have to buy or rent physical facilities, while e-business setup costs remain wonderfully low. The digital shift has just drastically lowered the barriers for aspiring entrepreneurs everywhere.
And that leads us perfectly into our final section, Section 5, the undeniable benefits of going digital.
There is this deeply fascinating quote from the source material that captures this entire shift perfectly. It says, "Networked individuals and firms are more efficient than net worth individuals." Just think about that for a second. It is a profoundly important shift in how the world operates. It basically means that even if you lack a massive amount of starting capital, your net worth, having a great digital network still allows you to do fabulous business. You could literally run a wildly successful virtual restaurant just by networking with top-tier chefs and delivery apps without ever needing to drop $1 million on a commercial kitchen yourself.
So let's consolidate the absolute top benefits we've seen today. Number 1, unbeatable convenience. It's a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year business model. Remember Rita happily shopping at 2 a.m.? That's the power of e-business. Number 2, lightning speed. Massively complex information exchange happens at the click of a mouse, and digital products like software or ebooks are delivered instantly. Number 3 is global access. The internet is truly without boundaries. It lets a tiny local seller reach the entire world. And finally, number 4, the vital movement toward a paperless society. Heavy administrative red tape is vanishing. Our source even highlights how major companies like Maruti Udyog source bulk supplies of materials in an entirely paperless fashion, relying completely on secure, fast digital records.
Which brings us to a final thought to chew on as we wrap up. E-business has utterly dismantled geographical boundaries and physical limitations. It took these clunky physical supply chains and turned them into instant, clickable global networks. So I'll leave you with this question. If e-business made geography obsolete, what human or technological boundary do you think it will break next? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, and keep asking those big questions.